During the 14th century, the face of war in Europe changed forever. Thanks to a substance invented by the Chinese while searching for the elixir of life. Gunpowder. One of the first guns used on the battlefields of Europe was this, the bombard.
This is a large stone-throwing gun for moving big projectiles like this up and over and through castle walls.
Before the invention of the cannon, castle wall-busting projectiles had been thrown by trebuchets.
This is what took over from the trebuchet. Far easier to move from castle to castle.
Its design was simplicity itself, drawing on the skills of the barrel maker.
This has metal staves, lengthways, and then lots of hoops holding those staves under compression. So this is why we now call this the gun barrel as well.
The bombard was no more powerful than a trebuchet, but it did have a psychological impact on the enemy.
If we take it back several hundred years, and the loudest thing is a cockerel crowing or a brawl in the pub on a Saturday night, these things are horrendously frightening.
As metallurgy improved, barrels could be made longer, increasing accuracy and power. They progressed from taking down walls to taking out soldiers, replacing the bow and arrow.
A typical arrow would get stuck in this sort of material, where ball just goes straight through. So compared to a bow and arrow, this is far more deadly.
During the 100 Years' War, there was even a precursor to the machine gun, the Riboldequin.
She's got several barrels on her. This is the sort of gun that would have been very much against people being able to spread your shot out and hit large numbers of people in one go.
Gunpowder revolutionized warfare throughout the 100 Years' War, changing the way battles were fought forever. Thanks to the explosive force of cannon fire, the French were close to victory in this century-long war. But in a final grasp at power, the English dispatched a fresh army, equipped with their tried and tested longbows. Formigny would be a trial of old versus new, to determine the fate of France. English commander Sir Thomas Kyriel sent a large expedition to crush the French in Normandy. The village of Carentan was directly in their path. Massively outnumbered, the French skirmishers near Carentan would give their lives to weaken the English. bravely, the French skirmishers could only slow the English advance. The main body of the French army finally arrived in the river valley. The French now needed to locate and destroy the English army. But they would face a well-entrenched enemy with several local garrisons. The French destroyed the garrison at Briquebec.
Ainsi soit fait. Avez-vous commandement pour moi? Nos esprits, ainsi soit fait. Coustilier, nous allons. L'ennemi nous assaut de notre commandement. Nos carènes sont prêts pour prêts. Ça, ne nous entendons point. Là, piquez-les-nous. Posez-vous. Prêts pour hostier, avant. Nous actons coustilier, en ordonnant. Nous allons. Fait, soudain, j'ai pour vous. Le champ n'attend point. À l'arceau, coustilier, nous allons.
Où voulez que j'aille?
Nous déstabilisons un peu. Je suis arché par l'ennemi. Votre esprit est bien bien. Démon Samuel. Ainsi soit fait. Arbalète triée. Prêt pour hostier. À l'arceau, si sera fait selon votre commandement.
Soyez prest, mes frères.
Nous attendons les... En argent, j'attends les commandements. Ben, compagnons, ça, ne nous entendons point.
Prest sont vos moines. Prest sont vos moines.
Soudain, fais ici de nouvelles commandements.
Soyez prest, mes frères. Frères, tantos nos faut-il avancer? Avançons, fratri mei.
Ben, soudain, avant, bougre de limaçon. Ben, compagnons, si les commandements. J'aille et je t'appelle.
Prest, avance.
Écoutez-vous, Samuel. Soudain, le champ n'attend point. pour moi.
Ainsi sera fait.
Oui, ainsi soit fait. Très bon, je fais votre commandement.
Obéis, si
Vous t'expliquez les deux. Joy, je fais comme il vous plaise.
Soyez prêts, c'est tu y veilles, j'entreprends.
Nous attendons les... Si ça sera fait selon votre commandement. En absence, Coustinier.
French forces found a detachment of the English army attacking the town of Vallon. If they could stop the attack, they might gain valuable resources.
Soyez prêts, préféresse. Il se retirera.
Les Coustiniers sont prêts. J'ai pour moi tout à dire. J'ai pour
With the English attack on Valognes halted, the citizens moved to support the French army.
Oui, je vis des Gérides à Parnain. À l'archon, presse pour les commandements. Nos destriers. Causez-vous. Prêt, parancier. Avant.
Soudain, lance sur feu.
Causez-vous. Oyez les commandements. Ça, ne nous entendons point. Je fais votre commandement.
Presque sont vos moines. Frères,
J'attends Coustinier, en ordonnance. Nous allons.
presque,
Soudain, le champ n'attend point.
Jacqueline.
Je fais comme il veut. Coustinier. En action, Coustinier. Avant, bougre de limaçon.
Soyez
À l'action. Coustinier, nous allons.
Soyez prêts.
Causez-vous. Avant, bougre de limaçon. Vos destriers rongent le Gévaux à moi.
Presque, si ferais-je commémorer. Avançons, fratrie May.
Soudain, fais ici de nouvelles commandements. J'ai pour vous tout à dire. Le champ n'attend pas.
Presque, avançons, fratrie May.
À l'archon, Coustinier en ordonnance. Nous allons. Je fais votre commandement.
Point ne me plaise, vous êtes archiers.
Fais ici les commandements. Nous attendons les commandements. Chapelet-les. Paul Coustinier, piquez-les-deux. Nos carrés seraient pas inquiets. Avant, tentez ce que fait votre commandement. Coustinier en ordonnance. Les Coustiniers sont prêts. N'ayez pas.
Si comme est
Chaque terrain qui soit prêt. Piquez-les-deux.
Victoire. Suis affamé.
The English base at Saint-Sauveur fell to the French forces, but the enemy army was still at large.
Ainsi sont les gagnés. Nos carrés sont prêts pour traiter.
Soyez prêts, Jacqueline.
J'attends les affaires. Lancier en blanc. Je cherche un équipe.
Avant, bougre de
Tantos
se traire ce carré.
Baillez votre commandement. Je suis preste.
Avez-vous commandement pour moi? J'attends les commandements. Paix, compagnons. Prêt, parancier. Avant. Ça, nous en tardons point.
Si tel est votre bon plaisir.
Les coustiques et les deux. Mais, soudain, le champ n'attend point. Ça, vous attendez Rustilier. Nos allons. En arçon, Coustilier.
Si sera fait ce
Soyez prêts.
Soudain, je fais votre commandement. Vous testez et les deux.
Soyez prêts, si ferai-je, comme demandé.
Nous attendons les commandements. En arçon, Coustilier. J'arrive, je t'appelle. Les Coustiliers. Nos allons.
Prêts, si que sont les commandes. Je fais votre commandement.
Je suis un chien. Piquez les deux. Votre esdite est bien clair. Votre esdite est bien clair. Causez-vous. Le champ n'attend point. J'attends le rust.
Soyez prêts, maîtresse.
Je fais comme il vous plaise. Ouais, forestier, avant.
Presque.
Mais, soudain, avant, ouvre de limaçon. Voilà, sur Rustilier, nous allons. Soudain, prêt, forestier, avant. J'ai compris.
The French forces located Kyril's English army at a river crossing near the town of Formigny. Several of the Bureau brothers' heavy guns and other forces arrived to help.
Presque sur vos moines.
Tout est ordonné. Engin de siège, ça faut aller. Ça, engin, en la voie.
Soyez prêts, maîtresse.
Fait, compagnons, avant et sans mêler. À l'arçon, je fais votre commandement.
Even with their cannons, the French faced the difficult task of engaging the well-positioned English army.
Je fais votre commandement. Si c'est parfait.
Victoire! La capitaine est dégastée!
Soyez Sons, Fratrimei.
Engin de siège, assis! Ça, engin! En la voie!
The French attacks succeeded in drawing the English front line out of position and across the river. Suffering losses, the English front line retreated back across the river. The French received word that their Breton allies had arrived with their knights and horsemen. Now the two armies could coordinate. The Bretons saw an opportunity to attack the English from the back. As the Bretons attacked, the English had no choice but to pivot their front line, opening their flanks to attack from the French. Beset by the French and Bretons, the English beat a hasty retreat toward Formigny. The English survivors entered Formigny. The French would have to take this town to secure victory.
Ils vont bâtir de notre île. Pas de faille, votre train, c'est quasi assouvi. Les engins se meuvent. Ainsi soit-il. Oui, la quinzaine est toute lumineuse.
Arbalétrier, ne restez pas.
Engins de siège actifs.
Nous attendons vos commandes. Ce sera pour vous obéir.
Cette quinzaine à l'heure. Je m'inclinerai à votre...
Les engins, en la voie. Ça, engins, en la voie.
Arbalète,
Quelle triompheuse victoire! Ils sont anéantis! Ils trahissent sur l'engin! Engin de siège! Les engins se meuvent! Engin de siège!
nos carrels sont patrouillés. Je presse zoom dans le collier.
Ainsi sera fait.
Tout est ordonné! Engin de siège! Ça va aller! Ça, engin! En la voie! Les engins!
Arbalète, nous actons.
Engin de siège! Engin de siège! Ça protège! Les engins de siège! Nous accomplissons vos ordonnances! Ainsi sera fait!
Nos carrels, arbalétriers, avant.
Les engins se lèvent!
With the last English army destroyed and the gates of Formigny thrown open, the French force in Normandy was victorious. Their well-organized forces and superior firepower had brought the arduous 100 Years' War closer to its conclusion. At Formigny, the roar of cannon fire sounded the death knell for England's ambitions in France. King Charles and the Bureau brothers did not let up on the offensive, and in 1453, the English retreated across the Channel. France was finally at peace. More than 100 years had passed since the first English chevauchés had scorched the land. The iconic French knights who fought in those early days would not have recognized their own military a century later. The English longbow, once the scourge of France, was no match for French artillery in the last years of the war. And by 1453, France's border looked very different, growing to encompass territories once claimed by England and their allies. After enduring a century of conflict, France emerged as a transformed nation. The country and its people had persevered and unified into a kingdom that could defend itself. Against all odds, France had won the 100 Years' War. Before the invention of printing in the 15th century, books were painstakingly copied by hand. The finest were illuminated with brilliant colors and real gold. Illuminated text wasn't just for show. Gilded illustrations decorated important passages to highlight their significance.
Gold was used in many medieval manuscripts from early days because it was very expensive and it indicated that the manuscript itself was valuable. The light would reflect from candles or from the sunlight, and so it looked as though the book itself was illuminated. In medieval manuscripts, it looks as though this is solid gold. In fact, it's not. The gold itself is tissue thin.
The solid appearance is achieved by laying the gold on a cushion of plaster mixed with glue, called gesso.
By raising the gold from the surface of the skin, that means that it catches the light even more.
The glue in the gesso is softened by breathing on it.
We then have 3 seconds to get the gold on, and I'm using a burnisher, which is a polished stone, just to make sure that the gold sticks. Then the burnisher is used to polish the gold up. See, it's coming up now. So it's coming nice and shiny.
Next, the miniature is painted.
The base colour will be done first, then the tints and the shades will be added, and finally, the white highlights and the outline, which lifts it and brings the whole thing to life.
The medieval paint box contained pigments from across the world, such as ultramarine from Afghanistan and orpiment gathered from volcanic craters.
It often took a long time to complete these medieval miniatures. This one between a month and 6 weeks, from start to finish.
An entire book could take a team of illuminators several years to complete. Many medieval manuscripts still survive today, fully preserved, with their colors just as vivid as the day they were illustrated.